about this feeling, baby, we're invincible.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Notts County, the analysis days. So, interesting season. As things go, I would say, is a massive step in the right direction. Just coming off of this for a second to take a look at the way the league finished. We won the league on 79 points, which admittedly has to be one of the lowest tallies ever. I'm sure some of you would have corrected me on the comments on that one. But look, last year, you needed 85 or 86 points to win. The previous year, technically you only needed 75 to win it, but they did win it with 82. Well, that would have been a crazy ball season, wouldn't it? Jesus. And that year, 91 points, won it. 84 technically, but 85, generally 97 points. Like, for us to have won the league with 79 points is insanity. And I just really don't think we're going to be able to repeat that. I don't see us winning the league again next season with the same kind of points tally. We're going to need to get much closer to sort of 85, 86 kind of points to really have a chance. But I feel like we're capable of doing that. And I honestly feel like if we hadn't lost those key players towards the end of the year, not only would we have won the league by more, but I feel like we probably would have had a good shot at least getting to the Champions League final. I think we just fell a tiny bit short against Dortmund. Well, we know we did. And yeah, that's fine. We go again next year. And I think we'll be in prime spot. The problem is we're still going to get a tough Champions League group. Because no matter how many coefficient points we gained from that little run, I bet you we're still going to be pot 4. So we're still going to have a crazy difficult group. So maybe it'll take 2 more seasons. I don't know, but I think we're really on a roll for it right now. So today we're going to try and figure out what went right, what went wrong, although I feel like most things went right in fairness, and where we can kind of improve. I think there's a few areas I want to pinpoint, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with most players, and that's really nice to see. So, back to Greg Campbell. He's had basically half a season. Those broken ribs really did not help him, but he's still considered the best player in our team right about now, which is really interesting, actually. He's taken a stamina hit as a result of not playing for a while, but that's fine. I think having him back next season and being able to rotate Hugo Fernandez in and out with him is a massive bonus. Because Fernandez has been decent and is improving, but Greg Campbell is on a different level, and I'm really glad we picked him up. I think 43 million is actually a really good buy. And remember, we've got about 80 mil to spend. In fact, let's just quickly check this. 79.14 million and 150, so not entirely 80 mil, probably more like 65 once we dump a load on wage budget to actually be able to afford players. So yeah, moving down a little bit though, we'll get through this. Celso. Also been lots of broken ribs popping around the club, hasn't it? Still, 25 league appearances, did a decent job for us this year, scored 5 goals, 6 in all competitions. He's just a really good player, isn't he? Like, he's just a really good player. I like this guy a lot. 129 appearances for the club. You can see that he got right up to being a very, very good player, and I sort of have to tail off towards the end a little bit. But the fact is, these guys aren't that bad. They're just being made to look at by some of the real elite players in this squad. Nessa Cesano, yeah, less said about him the better. Agustin De Los Santos. He's made a few substitute appearances, some non-competitive appearances. He's definitely getting there. And you can see he's definitely improving as a player, but he still needs to keep working on it. Plenty of time for him to do that. He's got a cap for Uruguay, though, so that's nice to see. But you can see, though, he's definitely making steady improvements in the right direction since January, particularly when he got boosted into the first team. And I think next year he could definitely be an option for us, particularly with his 17 teamwork. Very, very nice indeed, because we're very much of a muchness on that one. But he does have bad consistency, so maybe not great. Jalel Dobali actually played more than I expected him to this year and did a pretty decent job of it, in all honesty. An average of a 7.16 over those Premier League matches. He was never going to be a world beater for us, but the guy's done a job, and he's got 30 caps already for Tunisia. Fair play. Doguan Keskin as well. Sorry, not Dogukan Keskin. He's done all right. He's been called upon when needed, and again, since sort of Christmas, when he's been used a lot more, he's really made a lot of good groundwork to becoming a reasonably solid backup to Alberto. And frankly, he's not that far off. I'm sure there's a lot of areas where he actually is, but I actually don't mind him. I think he's done okay for us this year in both the Cup and the league, to be honest. 7.1, 7.09 is pretty decent. Alan Brina has been on loan at FK Sarajevo doing his thing. Remy Dubois finally grabbed himself a second France cap as well. So this year, he's got 9 assists in all competitions, which isn't actually that bad. I thought it was a bit poor, but 3 in the Champions League, 2 in the FA Cup, 4 in the Premier League. You can see once again that he really did hit a height in March and then dropped off at the same time as everybody else, unfortunately. But that's just the way things go. Wants to move to a bigger club. We've just won the Premier League. Sit down. So yeah, there's that. But I think he's done all right. 9 assists, 52 appearances this season, which is an insane amount. He's basically not missed a game. He's missed 2 Premier League games, probably through suspension. Yeah, 9 yellow cards. His overall contribution this year was definitely down on last season by comparison. Only the 1 goal and 4 assists, so 5 contributions to goals rather than 11, which is definitely down. But I think that's because our style of play has changed, and more of it's gone through Asman this year. So yeah, that's definitely the way I'm looking at it. And now on to Hugo Fernandez. I mean, he's injured at the moment again with his torn hamstring, which is not going to help at all. But again, slowly but surely over the course of the year, he's been making positive steps in the right direction. And that's only good. That can only be a good thing. 22 years old. We've got him for a few more years yet. Value is excellent. You didn't pay that much for him, did we? It was more than that. Less than that. So I'm pleased with his progress so far. Ricky Griffiths, of course, out at Bolton. 9 goals and 4 assists for Bolton in the Championship. Fair play to my man Ricky. If they'd like him permanently and they could stump up the money, then I'd be happy to let them have old Ricky G. Love him, but, maybe he needs to actually play permanently for someone right now. Jose Lelsonguera. It's amazing that he's only 4 stars at the moment. As you can see, towards the end of the season, he just dropped off at the same time as everybody else did, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? He's still waiting for a team to make an offer, match his agreed sale price, which is, of course, £78 million. So that's fine. Weirdly, we keep getting news articles saying that it could be a deal worth £74 million. I'm like, why not just pay the bastard release clause? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm hoping that if we get through the summer with this guy still here, then I will be able to get him on a new contract, because that is the most important thing, is tying down this guy. He's got 71 goals in 105 league games. I mean, this year he got 39 in 49. And more importantly, in all competitions, what's that? 54 contributions to goals this season, 15 assists and 39 goals. What a legend. I mean, even in the Champions League, 10 goals in the Champions League in 11 matches, 2 assists in there as well. I mean, looking at his progression, by far the best season for us. I mean, less assists, to be fair, but still a better year, I'd say, in general. Played less games, 3 less games, a lot less man of the match awards, but he did contribute to more goals and have a better average rating overall. So I still look at this as a genuine upward trajectory, and I think next year, 30 goals in the Prem is very much on the cards. I'm not selling him. No one seems to meet his release clause, which is very nice. I don't know why. I just think that perhaps the issue with him might be that his value doesn't even come... I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but I'm fine for that, frankly. If they want to keep not hitting the release clause, that's cool. We just need to get through one more summer, and I think I'll probably be able to get him on a new contract. So that would be very much... I don't know how much he'd want. Probably a lot, but we will see about that one. Hubanov barely played this year, unfortunately for him. He just kind of fell down the pecking order a little bit. Still has something to offer for us, I feel like, but Asman is just so much better in that role, as you'll see when we get to it. It's just unbelievable. And John Carlos is another one of those players that he started off a bit slowly this year, and I was concerned that he might be regressing slightly. But then in the second half of the year, I mean, you could see this from about here onwards, it was just a constant upward trajectory. Even when everybody else was playing bad towards the end of the season, Jean Carlos was still smashing goals in, and he's just continued to improve. Still only 23 years old. He says he's slightly injury prone, but in fairness, we've barely seen that from him, which means next year maybe we'll get some injuries. I don't know, but really, really pleased with him. Stats this year, 8 goals and 5 assists, 7 man of the match awards, an even better performance than the previous year. He really did step it up. And I thought he had an excellent year last year too. But this year, I mean, technically it's the same in terms of goal contributions, but those extra player of the match awards just, to me, shows that he's just playing that little bit better even when he's not getting goals and assists. And we're also playing better as a team, so there is that as a factor. Really, really like him. He's doing an excellent job. Long way to continue. Nice long contract for him, no worries there. Nikolai Jespersen, again, another of the players that started to tail off a little bit as though he hit that bump. But he's done fine this year. A few assists in there as well. Reasonable enough. Have been happy with the drastic changes in training intensity. I don't remember changing that. What's my assistant been up to? We may need to have a look at this. I don't know, but I don't know who I would sign. We might have a look through the usual suspects in the old stats for the Premier League and see if there's anyone amazing in there as well. So maybe we'll be able to find some joy. Jan Kubek, no one cares about him. Sean Lancaster, here we go. 7 goals and 9 assists this year. I like Sean Lancaster. He's worth £13 million. I don't think he's ever going to be playing for England or anything like that, but he's a very, very nice lad. It's the best way I can describe him. You know, 1 goal and 5 assists in the Champions League in only 5 starts, 6 substitute appearances. Despite that, yeah, he just gets drawn down by a lot of that. Premier League, 2 goals, 3 assists, 4 goals and 1 assist in the FA Cup as well. Like, he's contributed a decent number of goals. Certainly more so than Thomas Stepanek, that's for sure. But I think that we really could do with someone that's just a little bit better in that position. Like, his teamwork's definitely better, but I'm concerned. I feel like Augustin De Los Santos next year might have a bit more of a role than Sean Lancaster, but I do love him and I want him to stick around. He's not going anywhere, that's for sure. Darren Lever, I think for me, he is the standout, biggest improvement player of the year. 12 goals and 4 assists. I think he's the second highest goal scorer in the team, which is really impressive for the 21-year-old, who I honestly didn't think was going to get anywhere near it. But look at this. He went all the way up to 4 stars at one point, which is very, very good. There's a lot to like about him. His teamwork isn't great, but he just really does seem to do the trick. He's got 3 years left on his deal, so I don't really feel the need to give him a new contract right now. And every time he complains, usually we can set that one aside. Still hasn't done the best on this one, but in the Champions League, 2 goals and 3 assists in the Champions League, 4 goals and 1 assist in the FA Cup. The guy's a cup monster, to be honest. 6 goals and 4 assists in the cup competitions. 6 goals in the league. It ain't too bad. Elias Meloleki's been on loan at Cincinnati for the second part of the season, just to get him a bit of game time, really, because obviously we've got other players around the club that could fill in for now. Nicholas Nielsen, 3 goals and 4 assists, all in the Premier League. I don't know. Teamwork is excellent, and I do think that's really, really helping. I'm waiting for someone to step into this role, and I feel like it might actually end up being Agustin Dos Santos. I feel like he might be the standout for next year that might genuinely become, because he's younger than all the others, and he's nearly at their level already. And that does interest me, to say the least. So, Nielsen's done well, but in the Champions League, he really did underperform, in fairness, and in the FA Cup. In the league, he was definitely at his best, but, I mean, is it that good? I don't know. He had some good performances, but, I don't know, maybe he just wasn't quite there yet. Gael Perrier, of course, long-serving player now, for 135 appearances for the club. This year, just the 2 goals and 2 assists, but he, actually, to be fair, he started 17 Premier League games, so I don't really know why he would complain. To be fair, he's not complaining anymore. So, yeah, I feel like our centre-backs is an area where perhaps we could look for something special, but really, I mean, 12, 13 and 15, I want to be having like 16s and 17s on some of these stats now for these guys, and he's 25. I don't see him, he's not going to get that much better. So maybe we do need to have a look at the centre-back situation. Thomas Piszczek, of course, has been on loan at LA Galaxy, no problems with that. Marcos Rodea has been on loan at Anderlecht, 15 substitute appearances for him there, no contributions to anything at all. Dario Santana, he's been alright, 9 goals, 1 assist, I can't really complain. Like, our left side has contributed 21 goals this season, and he's got 4 in the Champions League as well. Just as I was thinking about maybe moving him on, he's got 1 year left on his contract, but, his teamwork's a little bit low, but he does still seem to contribute quite a lot to the team. So maybe, he's not got a Portugal cap yet, maybe we could get him on a contract that isn't quite as expensive as I might have thought. And maybe he would be worth renewing for another season, just so we've got more options on that left side with Darren Lever and Dario Santana. Because at the end of the day, he does have very, very good attributes. He's just not quite quick enough. And the fact that he cuts inside for that left wing. Then again, we play an inside forward that side, so it might not be quite so bad. It's the right side that causes the problems there. Obviously, Armando Senya has been on loan at Charlton for a bit. Played all right, actually, as it happens. Who's this guy? Is he on trial? Yeah, he's on trial. Mads Sivertsen hasn't really played a lot. After Rune Torgersen came in, he kind of lost his chance at really playing for us that regularly. Might have to get him out on loan next season. Thomas Stepanek. Here we go. 14 appearances, 4 substitute appearances, 1 goal. He just did nothing in those opening matches. That 11 teamwork, I don't know what it is. He really only has the pace now. It seems that way to me. I'd be very, very tempted to get rid in the summer and just cut our losses on him. I mean, how much did he cost us? 10 million. I had high hopes and I wanted to see if he could improve, but he still hasn't got rid of the cuts inside from both wings trait. And I think that's definitely helped hindering him slightly, but the teamwork one, yeah, he just seems to be such a selfish player. And it's just not good enough, unfortunately. It's a shame. Marvin Suarez, big old keeper, lovely old job, excellent bloke. Yeah, I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's signed a new contract. It will take place very soon. All is going to be well. He even has a 7.03 in the Champions League, which is very, very impressive. And he's actually just continued to get better and better over the course of the year. Long may it continue. El Hadji Silla. He's a player that he's just been kind of left out in the cold a little bit. He has still done well. 12 appearances, 12 starts. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists. He's doing okay. He's never really been able to quite get near this season that he had for us, or this one in fact it was, where he really did step up to the plate for us. But to be fair, these are not brilliant numbers really. He just had a good season. Remy Dubois has certainly done better, and Asman has done much better. Rune Torgersen, I feel like this guy's got some decent potential for being a reasonable backup to Jean Carlos, in all honesty. He's now considered a wonder kid, which is nice. Need to get some PPMs on him to really improve him, but when he's played, I've liked what I saw of him. He obviously got that goal in the cup, which was nice, admittedly from the penalty spot. I think this guy's got a soul patch, which is always what you want. It's looking good. Costel Troffin, he has got a goal in the leasing. He got a goal in the stupid trophy no one cares about. Found some matches towards the end of the season to get himself back in there, but I mean, it's Costel Troffin. He's not going to be playing for us very much. It's as simple as that, unfortunately. Alberto, another one of these players who he wants. I've basically said he can leave if they match his asking price, which is his release clause, but no one even comes close. Because his release clause is in like the 80 millions and he's not worth 80 million pounds. So that's fine. Thank goodness that, because we can basically just rely on rejecting every single transfer bid until someone does it. And they're not going to. And if they do, then honestly, it wouldn't be the end of the world. If they actually gave us 80 million quid for this player, then we could reinvest that into so many different people. So I'll be all right with that. I like him. I like him a lot. I've always liked Alberto. 1 goal, 6 assists this year. He's a good lad. I do wonder, though, if we could do better. Honestly, but we will see about that one. Good teamwork, though, which is nice to see. Anatoly Andriashenko. Well, we all know he scored an absolute belter against Dortmund, but that's all he could really do. And fairness, that wasn't what I expected him to do. So I have no ill feeling towards him. He's still here. He's doing all right. But someone who is really doing all right is Paulo Asman, with his 1 cap for Argentina. It's a shame he missed out on the World Cup, but he has just suddenly this year sprung up out of nowhere. 6 goals and 13 assists from midfield. It's because he gets forward. He just gets into amazing positions. And, I mean, look at this compared to last year. He played 6 less games as well. And yet he scored 3 more goals and got 8 more assists in the Premier League. His contributions over the years, 7 contributions, 5 contributions. This year, 16 contributions. That, to me, is a huge step in the right direction for the guy. And it's a shame he missed out on the Argentina World Cup squad, to be honest. But he just tailed off right at the last part of the season, like everyone else did. And it's a shame. And that might well have cost him his place in the World Cup squad, for all we know, which is a shame. But, hey, it means he's not going to get injured in the World Cup, I guess. Ayel Banano, of course, my man. I like him. He's still improving. I'm concerned about this, but I do think that with the way this goes, we could still easily get more out of him. As usual, roughly centre of the league in terms of possession. That's not a real big surprise, is it? Yellow cards, 105. We were a very dirty bunch this year. Goes without saying. We got a lot of suspensions. Particularly towards the end, we really were picking up an inordinate amount of yellow cards. But that's our aggressive approach, and it seems to work for us, to be honest. Still didn't get the most reds, though. I'll take it. Form is irrelevant. Top goal scorers as well. We have only 73 goals. We were the top scorers in the league. And to be fair, only 2 teams got more than 50, which is very surprising. There just wasn't a lot of goals flying around the league, it would seem. Cross completion, down towards the bottom as it happens, which is not really great, but we'll see. At least we were towards the top on actual crosses completed, which makes me wonder how Liverpool managed to be top of cross completion ratio, despite, I suppose they did complete an awful lot of them. Goals from corners, 15 goals Crystal Palace scored from corners. No wonder they nearly got in the Champions League. Bloody hell, 15! That's ridiculous. Direct free kicks, we did score 1. I can't remember who it was, but we did score 1. Indirect free kicks, we scored 8, which is a nice start. Palace have got a lot of goals from set pieces this year. That's 21 just out of those 2. 11 for Manchester City as well. That's not too bad. Pass completion? Yeah, seems about right. In fact, even on this one, because we do tend to play it long sometimes. Chances created, though, I think that's valid. 135. That means I think we deserve what we got from the league that time. We actually really got there. Shots on target ratio, that seems to have fallen a little bit. I guess it's because we take more long shots occasionally. But we have hit the target more than any other team. So that's a good sign. Conversion rate? Yeah, I mean, admittedly, if our conversion rate was the Newcastle level, we'd probably got about 80 goals this year, which isn't too bad. Fouls against, dribbles per game. Palace have the second most. That's interesting. I think it's because they've got that Alex Guerrero guy. This is a really good sign. Still being up on there is good. 4th best defence in the league. And honestly, with a couple of better performances in games, and Everton in there as well, we could have done all right, to be honest. Leicester, 72. It's not the worst, to be honest. Conceded from corners. 3. It's better than it has been in previous years, and it certainly is better than Leicester with 15. Direct free kicks, none conceded. Very good sign. Villa, 6. Not so good. Indirect free kicks, my God, we only conceded 2 of those. Normally we're pretty bad on that. Brighton and West Ham were bad on that. Still not great on the old clean sheets, but that's fine. It'd be nice to get a few more, but we often concede the odd goal just because we're so attack-minded. But that's fine. If we score 4 and concede 1, I'd still rather do that than win 1-0. Fouls made, a lot of them. Interesting how we've made less fouls than Brighton, and yet somehow they've got 66 yellow cards and we've got 105. But sure. Tackles 1. They have 1 more tackles, in fairness to them. Tackles 1 ratio is actually very low. Then again, we're fouling so much that would kind of explain it. Only conceded 3 pens this year. Brighton and Newcastle, not so good. Right, player stats. This is where I'm kind of more interested in. Because I want to see, games 1, of course, is Marvin Suarez and Dubois up there as well. Yellow cards, Jespersen has 15, but we've had players get to 20 before. Celso's had a season where he got to 20. I think we're spreading the fouls around a little bit this year. Jose Lasingera, 8 man of the match awards, and John Carlos with 7. That's a nice turn up for the books too. So I think Guerra will probably be man of the season again. Man of the season? Player of the season. John Carlos also works bloody hard. That's a really nice sign. So we've got to keep an eye on any other players that stands out from clubs that perhaps you wouldn't expect to see up there. Obviously, there's Kevin Nygaard, but yeah. Headers 1. Okay, how are we doing here? Who actually went down, more importantly? I actually can't remember. Was it Burnley, West Ham, and Villa? No, Leicester, West Ham, and Villa. Okay, those are the players. Those are the teams to look out for. So Rob Brain, obviously, but he's a striker. So... yeah, that's not even worth thinking about how much money that just wouldn't work. But then again, they have been relegated. Has he got a relegation release clause, perhaps? I mean, I don't think... it would be worth just scouting him, just to see if there is something in there. So, yeah, and also they've got Soyuncu as well at the back, but I'm not so sure about him. I think he's a bit old. Yeah, 33 years old. Not so great on that one. But I do like to see this one, because headers 1 overall is very, very important to me. because this is how we found a lot of our defenders a lot of the time. Carlos Roberto, how is he? Is he a centre-back? He is. 13, 13, 15, 6'2". He's just not... I mean, I'm going to scout him anyway, but to me, he's not that much of a step up above what we've already got in these positions, to be fair. Luciano Pinto, a Chilean, also centre-back, 10, 13, 13. Again, I'll scout him, give him a quick look at, but I don't think he'd be any better than what we already have, is the simple fact of the matter. Goal scorers, though, Guerra, 29 goals, comfortably the best in the league, by 8. He really did stretch his legs. Scoring those 3 goals in those last 3 matches really made a difference to me. Rob Brain's still in there for West Ham, interestingly, but beyond that, not a lot. And this one's even more obvious. Like, he's been so good this year. For a 23-year-old to be that good is phenomenal. Particularly as he's had a lot less shots as well than Esposito, who, I consider him pretty broken in the air. You'll see what I mean when we get to the key headers. He was either top or second, I think, on key headers, which for a striker is outrageous, particularly as he's only like 6'1". Shots on target, much, much closer, in fairness. In fact, is there anyone else that has loads of shots here for the relegation teams? Rob Brain, of course. Darren Lever as well. Interesting. That would explain, I guess, why he's had so many goals. But he's not on this one, though, which is a bit disappointing, I've got to say. Shots on target, that doesn't really matter to me because, then again, 60%. It's good to see him on there, I suppose. And also, 24% chance conversion is very, very nice. Penalties as well. He scored 7 out of 8. God, we've won a lot of penalties this year, haven't we? Assists, Gritsas was always going to be up there. But Guerra and Assman, to have 2 players on the top 4 is a very nice factor. Anyone on here that could be interesting? Calvin Stengs, he's 31 years old, unfortunately. Key passes, right. Guerrero of Everton. Yeah, he looks bloody good. And once again, Alfie McCalmont is phenomenal. Leeds bring him up and down and up and down and up and down, but the guy continually does that. And this is obviously Yehuda Gola, the guy from Bournemouth that I'm always raving about. And you can understand why. But I wanted them to get relegated so we could try and snap him up, but it was not to be. They've got Xavi Simons at Aston Villa in the middle. Someone told me about him, so we'll get a scout report on him as well, even though he's 27, but that's not that old. Diego Velasquez as well, the Leicester City guy. Where is he playing? Another central midfielder. Again, I just want to see if there's any relegation release clauses. That's the main factor in this, because we might be able to get an absolute bargain on one of these guys. Jean Carlos on there too, with 57. But Dubois, despite not getting that many assists this year, is still right where you'd expect him to be on key passes, which is a very good sign. Chances created, 26. My God, look at this. To have the top 3, and Dubois in there as well, that's pretty impressive. I will take that. No other players on there that worth looking at, though, unfortunately. The reason I'm not looking at players lower in the Premier League is because they simply want too much money. The relegation ones I want to look at because they sometimes have clauses that make them worthwhile, but the rest of them, it's just too much money to be spending on players. Signing from other Premier League sides when you're in a position like we are is just, it's not even worth considering unless you've got absolute bags. Oh, God. Abu Aziz Sanya. Look at this. I nearly signed this guy. And I'm really wishing I had now, but what can you do? It's crazy that he's got 33% cross completion with 13 crossing. Insanity. But he is bloody good, to be fair. Right, anyone on here at all that's worth looking at? No, it would seem not. In fact, we don't have anyone here at all ourselves, which is a little bit interesting. Dribbles per game, Alex Guerrero. Again, we looked at him, and maybe we should have gone for it. Then again, he's got 8 teamwork. He's got 8 assists still. Interesting. That surprises me, actually, that he's got such good... Oh, Cabral. What about Cabral? 9 teamwork. Once again, we'll do a scout report. Because these are the kind of players that I'm interested in, just to see if there's something there, perhaps. It's mostly Leicester City players. They seem to have played a lot better than their position suggests. Like, Sean Lancaster's our highest, and we were used to having Stepanek up here. I mean, look how much Guerrero is better than everyone else. 6.77 dribbles per game. That is ridiculous. Utterly mad. Right, here we go. Important stuff now. Anyone on here? Xavi Simons, again, interesting for a midfielder to be getting that. Anyone else at all? A couple of lads from Villa here. No, mistakes leading to a goal. Pontus Dahlberg. Wow, okay. Interesting. Mistakes as well. Key tackles. Right, this is an important one. Alberto, good to see. Jespersen, good to see. Mateus Pereira, he's 29, and I think he's a fullback as well. And he's only got 55k a week. But then, is he that much better? I just don't think he's that much better than Alberto is, really. Not at the moment, anyway. They've got Rayan Ait Nouri as well. We've got... Who else is here? There's potential option. We've already looked at Luciano Pinto, haven't we? I think we're getting a scout report on him. Yeah, we are. Okay, that's fine. I don't think he's going to be worth it, though. Right, so here you go. Sebastiano Esposito. Second highest in key headers in the entire division. And to be fair, Rob Brain is there, but he's nowhere near on that level. David Garnier, I see this guy every single time, but once again, Like, he's a fullback and he's 6'2", and yet, to be fair, he's usually challenging against smaller wingers, I would imagine. I think it was a similar case when we had Chitty playing at right back for us, because, of course, he was always challenging against players that were much smaller than him, and it just sort of, it favoured him, it would be fair to say. Interceptions. Garnier again, though. Very, very nice for him to be in that position. Carlos Roberto as well. Luciano Pinto again. The same names tend to appear over and over here, and that's fine. This just gives us a few players to potentially look at in the summer. Shots blocked. Not so sure I care about that one. Okay, so that'll probably do. Let's go and have a little look now at the final thing. Sort of compare some positions, shall we? Okay, so as far as the old... well, this is interesting, actually. As far as positions go for left back and right back, the two that I would thought would stand out have actually got lower average ratings, but I do want to see if that's just unfortunate scenarios, because these guys have played against easier teams, because Keskin has started 13 games this year, so that's a good start. So let's kind of see where we're up to. Best defensive situation is Fernandez and Keskin. So we can see less goals of those two in the team, but maybe these guys played against harder opponents. You don't know. One thing I would say, though, is Greg Campbell is much better with the interceptions, and that, to me, is an important factor of this. Tackles are all relatively close. Fernandez does love to get stuck in, though. They're all reasonably high still. Passing, again, within a reasonable level. Key passes. Greg Campbell and Fernandez. Alberto outdoes Keskin. These two are nice and close, though, which is a very good sign. Right back, I think we're very strong in right back position right now. We've got an excellent starter and an excellent understudy. It's the left back where we're just starting to wane a little bit at the moment, and maybe that's a position where we really need to look for a Greg Campbell-esque player in that role, perhaps. I don't know. Something to think about. Alberto still excellent in the air, though. That's what we do lack. The left side is better in the air. Keskin really loves winning headers. He's a bit taller, isn't he? 6 foot compared to Alberto's, what, 5'11" or 6'1"? Okay, interesting. I wonder why he's so much better. Certainly wins more headers overall. Dribbles per game? Yeah. Campbell's good at that too. Alberto, they really do like to get forward. But the key thing, again, is we're just lacking a bit of crossing on this left-hand side as well. Campbell and Fernandez, hitting 19%, that's fine. They're getting a load of assists, which is good. Fernandez is actually doing a bit better, in fairness. And Alberto is doing all right. Keskin, not so much on the creative side of things, but he's not too bad on the chance creation. In fact, better, in fairness. Where this actually lines up perfectly as well. There are a number of chances created aligns perfectly with their assists. So it makes you wonder why Keskin's not being converted. Is it because he's playing in cup games with the worst player? I don't know. Interesting signs. Okay, so points per game as well. It's Fernandez again, Campbell, Keskin, and Alberto. Just looking at this, the right side is completely set. I'm happy. I think we'll finish the save with those two as our first choices. It's the left-hand side. I kind of feel like we could probably get away with... I don't know. I think that's a real trouble zone for us. I think a left back might well be the answer, because I think Alberto's going to struggle to get any better than he is, and I like him, but I do wonder if we get the right offer, moving Alberto on and bringing in a brand new first choice guy who's more like a 4-star player could really light up that left side of the pitch, and still have Keskin as an understudy to him, because he's young and he's got time to learn. But I feel like maybe Alberto could be a player to move on for big money if we can get someone to come near to his release clause. What I might do is put out an asking price that's a bit lower than that, like say 50 or 60 million, and maybe we can get someone to take the bait on him, because there are teams interested. So maybe if we can get them to take the bait on like 60 million, it would get a lot of money off the wage bill too, because he's on 105 grand. So maybe that could be a deal we could do in the summer to really wheel and deal that left-hand side and spruce it up with someone a bit special. But I need to find someone first. That's the problem that we're really facing at this time. But I have got a few players in mind that we're looking at in the summer, but they're all quite young. I might have to send my scouts out on a specific assignment for someone more established. So, general thing, right-hand side, absolutely happy with that. Left-hand side, could do with a new first choice, maybe move Alberto on. We might not have to, but I think if we did bring someone else in, there could be problems if Alberto was to stay here. But it would also give us incredible depth in the right back and left back spots if we were to keep him. So maybe we wouldn't be able to lose him. We've got a lot of money, so we could maybe pull that off. Now let's have a look at centre backs. There's a lot of players to talk about here, so this could be an interesting one. Well, as it happens, I didn't even have to exclude anyone from the filter, because every single one of the players that are in the first team squad, all 5 of these guys, have played minutes. A reasonable amount too. Like, I know Andriashenko's only played 300 minutes, and Dybala only 800 minutes, but that's still a decent amount, to be honest. So we get a lot of knowledge about this. So firstly, look at the difference here. Dybala covers, to be fair, he has played some of those minutes at fullback, so we've got to be careful with that. In fact, I'm just having a little look at his development. Yeah, he's played 8 of those matches at right back. That is ridiculous. And he's played all right there too. I think it's because he's not tall. He's not super tall, so he's had to do less in that position. So we'll have to sort of be careful what we make of his attributes because of how many games he's played at right back. The others Andriushenko sure played at left back once, and Jespersen's played at right back once, but for the most part, they were playing as centre backs. So that's fine. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Jespersen, he's probably my star these days. I feel like he has probably been the best. I mean, you can see average rating wise, he's also played the most consistent player for that. Most interceptions he's on that. He has made 2 mistakes leading to goal, but Celso's made 4. That's just way worse. Tackle wise, they're all relatively decent. Jespersen's the lowest in fairness. And tackles per game, look at that, 7 tackles per game. But again, that's when he's out at right back, so we can't really read too much into that. And I guess Andriushenko also played one of those games at left back, so yeah, we'll have to be careful with that. Andriushenko, though, cannot seem to pass. That's a key factor, and I really do want to make sure... What's his passing stat? 8, and his vision 7. Yeah, he's just a little bit no-nonsense at the moment. In terms of key passing, Jespersen, Celso, the usual suspects. Headers 1. Dybala does like a header, but again, he would have been up against worse people, I suppose, so there is that aspect of things. Better in the air than Celso, which is actually quite impressive, because Jespersen's 6'2", and Celso's 6'5". How is he winning more headers? I mean, about the same number of headers, but winning more challenges. But then again, the amount of times we've seen Celso miss key headers this season is actually very surprising. And you would have seen me point it out. It's actually really shocking how many really important headers he's missed this year. To miss goals completely. So a strange one. Dribbles, obviously completely pointless for these guys. Assists, it's not relevant for my centre-backs. I don't care what they're doing. And this, I don't think it matters that much, but you can see that with Jespersen and Celso in the team, we score more goals. These guys are... just, yeah, it's just not a good sign when that's the kind of situation. So, as for centre-backs, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to starting another season with Celso, Jespersen and Perrier, with understudies of Andriushenko and Dybala. We do have, as far as I can tell, options below there as well. With the likes of Giovanni Pajic, we've got Alfonsinho still technically. Beyond that, it does get a bit shit. But, you know, Pajic, he's not far off of these guys as well. He's got a cap for Croatia as well. He's a perfectionist, so I feel like he's going to get a decent amount out of himself. I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing more of Pajic next season. I, again, wouldn't be opposed to signing someone to fill in these roles. And it would probably have to be the kind of guys that we're talking about getting relegated from Premier League sides. That's the kind of player that could maybe slot into this, like all of these guys have been. In fact, yeah, every single one of these 3 have been from relegated Premier League sides, haven't they? So... maybe something to think about. See if one of those guys we've had a little look at, I don't know, maybe they're rated higher than I thought they are. Maybe they've got mad potential or something because they're a bit younger. I don't know. I'm not sure, though. I don't think they're going to be that much better than these lads. You know, heading of 18, 14, 14. Like this, he is genuinely up there. Whereas Jespersen, you know, his heading is the one downside for him, really. 12 and then 17, 16. That's solid. You can see the real drop-off is to Perrier with his 12, 13, 15. Like, that's a bit of a drop. What's Pajic on? You know, 11, 12, 12. That's definitely a drop, but he is also 6'7". 6'7". Absolute beanpole of a man. So, as for centre-backs, I'm thinking, I like what we've got. If we can find one for the relegation clubs, that'd be great. If not, I think we've got some good players coming through, and I might be able to find a couple more. Pajic is the one that excites me the most out of those guys. Right, let's have a little look at central midfielders. Oakley dokley. So, I mean, I like our central midfield. I think Dubois and Assman are excellent. I know that their abilities have dropped off a little bit now, but remember, that's because of that slight dip. Both of these two are running on like a 4-star at one point, and that's pretty damn good in this current side. I think we've got 4 phenomenally good, capable central midfielders in this team. Now, sure, some are more capable than others, but look at this. 2 points a game for every single one of them is a really good sign for me. Defensively, we actually concede more with Assman in the team because he's so forward-thinking, but we probably score a lot more with him in the team too. Interestingly, no, we concede a lot with Hubanov. Looks like he could definitely offer us something as well. So I'm so happy with our central midfield right about now. Tackles-wise, Lacazette, Hubanov and Hisilla can really get in, but 85% is still phenomenal. They're winning a decent number of tackles. Their pass completion's fine. Key passes per 90 minutes. Obviously, Dubois is still right up there. Not quite the same numbers he was putting up last year. He was up to the 2.8s, but I'm still very pleased with the lad. These guys are not super far behind. Silowit's a decent man in the air as well. Assman doesn't dribble as much as I thought he did, interestingly. Has Lacazette Hubanov got better dribbling than him? No, he doesn't. Interesting. Assist-wise, I mean, look at that. But that being said, Silla's not that bad, and Dubois isn't that bad either. They're still decent records. It's just that Assman has had a worldie of a season so far. And to be fair, he has created more chances than the others. That goes without saying. Silla has a better goal-scoring record than him, though, which is interesting. I just think that these 4 are bloody fantastic. And the fact is, we've got other players coming through that we can have a little look at. No, we don't. There's definitely other players around the club. There's Piszczek, who's gone out on loan. We just... yeah. So, You've got Tritar, who's going to be leaving soon, I think. No, Damguard's available as well. We've got Piszczek. Like, there's definite, like, youth players coming through the club as well that could definitely make an impact. But right now, I think we've got a midfield 4 that we can rotate around and not have to worry too much because they've all got reasonably good levels to them, to be honest. I like them. It would take an awful lot for me to sign someone. But the fact is, there's still a couple of guys that have been from relegated clubs that if the deals were right, I might be considered. But I think it's unlikely that the deal is going to be so right that I'd want to replace one of these guys, to be honest. That's just the way I'm looking at it. I just don't think we need to improve in this area right now. Okay, moving on to attacking mids. This is a fairly straightforward one. Obviously, Jean Carlos is the god. We know that. But what I want to see is how close Turgerson is to potentially being able to offer us something more than just so we can rest Jean Carlos sometimes. Because to me, he's not going to achieve another 54-game season next year. It's just unlikely to happen. So I want to make sure that we've got some options in case that does come to pass. So first things first, he's not played enough games for us to take this that seriously, but it's still worth having a little look at. Conceded per 90 minutes. That's not bad, but those substitute appearances might well be a bit misleading on that one. Interceptions, not too bad. Tackles are good. Winning a lot of tackles. His passing is solid. Key passing is a little bit less than Jean Carlos, but it's not bad. He's not great in the air, despite the fact that he's nearly the same height as him. But maybe he could improve with time. What's his headers actually like? Heading of 15 compared to a heading of 9. Jumping reach of 15. Jumping reach of 12. Weird. He's not the best leap on the lad. That could well be the problem, though. The jumping reach is the main issue. Decent amount of dribbles. His chance creation needs some work, but he'll get there. We do score a few less goals than him in the team, presumably because he's not the ideal catalyst, but his actual goal-scoring record is okay. Hits the target a reasonable amount. I think he's a reasonable backup, frankly, and I think he's only going to improve next season. He's 5 years younger. I think he makes a very, very competent understudy to Jean Carlos. Should we lose Jean Carlos, I feel like I'd be confident that Rune Turgerson could come in and do a solid job for us while we await his return. As for what we've got coming through, that is not quite so encouraging, unless we've got... There's also Mad Sivertson. So if I just remove this, but you can see other players as well. So we want to make sure that we're not taking too much of a knowledge of these guys. Assman can also play further up, to be fair. Sivertson could also give that a go, but we are just a little bit lacking in that. So maybe I'll look to bring in a youngster in that role or something, just to make sure we've got a bit more stability there. But other than that, I think we're good to go for next season with Jean Carlos and Rune Turgerson, provided we can keep hold of these guys. But I think some of them are getting new contracts anyway, so that's fine. Wingers. This is going to be the very interesting one on the right-hand side particularly. Okay, so for wingers, we've got quite a lot of people to look at. I'm going to include Agustin dos Santos in here just to see if there's anything that he kind of comes close to the others on, to see that if maybe he's got more game time, we can see more out of him. So Lever and Lancaster played the most minutes, which should actually tell you something when you would have considered at the start of the season Santana and Stepanek to be comfortably our first choice players. Whereas in fact, you know, even Nielsen played more minutes than him, to give you an idea, really. So defensively, Stepanek, not too bad, but De Los Santos, solid numbers on that one. He's right in there with the others. So that's a good sign. Interception-wise, I've noticed that Thomas Stepanek is solid at that, and we've noticed that in the past, but De Los Santos, albeit in over a short amount of minutes, has done some interceptions, which is good. Tackles-wise, it's about the same as Nielsen, not too bad. Tackles 1, it's relatively close to the others, in fairness. Lancaster definitely comes out on top there. With Lever outperforming Santana ever so slightly. Also more interceptions and less goals conceded. His passing is also better as well, though, so there is that. And De Los Santos at 87% is very nice. No key passes for him yet, though. Stepanek, decent amount of key passes. And one thing I would say is Santana does love a key pass. That's a decent amount compared to Lever. It's nearly double. And headers 1, it goes without saying that Santana is better. But Lever does win a weird amount of headers in some games. De Los Santos has done all right there, but again, that might mean he's just won one header in a substitute appearance, so we've got to be careful. Dribbling-wise, Stepanek's still the most, but it just doesn't. It's not worth it when he's in the team. That's the problem. It just really doesn't create what we want it to create. The key thing for me, cross completion. This is an important factor. Come on, there we go. Santana at 80% is definitely better than Darren Lever, but not by much. Stepanek is better than Lancaster and De Los Santos, but it doesn't lead to anything most of the time. And Nielsen's better than him as well. Assists per 90 minutes. I mean, Stepanek's got none in the entire season, whereas at least Nielsen and Lancaster are trying. And chance creation as well. This is where I think it really sort of shows. Stepanek is worse than everyone, apart from Darren Lever. But Lever's played a lot more minutes, and that's not really his role. His role is to score goals on that side. But what I would say is Santana, to be fair, he only has one assist, but he does create a lot of chances. Stepanek doesn't create anywhere near as many chances as both Nielsen and particularly Lancaster. Sorry, other way around. And De Los Santos, I feel like given the time, could probably do that as well. This concerns me a little bit, but not as much as other factors. I don't think Stepanek's as bad, perhaps, as we've said, but I think if we found a good right-sided player in the summer, I'd be tempted to take the plunge on them, to be honest. I feel like there's something there for us, and if we can make the right deals, maybe find someone. First choice left back, first choice right-sided player could well be the two big deals we can make this summer. But if not, Nielsen, Lancaster, and De Los Santos. I feel like De Los Santos is going to have a breakout year next year. But look, none of these guys have got above a 7. In a squad that's just won the Premier League, no one on the wide areas has got above a 7, which is weird when you consider that particularly the left side combined for 21 goals this season, whereas our right side combined for only 11. I mean, that's weird, really. Only 11 goals from the right and a lot from the left. Admittedly, assists-wise, the right did dominate with 13 assists compared to 5. So it seems that the right side sets up chances for the left, which is, I think, makes it even more important that the players we get on the right are not selfish players. They've got great teamwork, good crossing. That's the key factors. And passing as well, potentially. I think those are perhaps what we need to look for more than their finishing ability. We should be expecting them to create goals rather than score them. And on the left-hand side, if we were to sign someone else potentially, they need to be a finisher. A guy who's got decent finishing ability, like 11 finishing and 12 composure isn't great. 14 finishing and 14 composure is pretty solid. Those are the kind of stats where we need to be looking for the left-hand side, because a lot of our play on the right is just to hit those balls to the back post, to get those guys in there. And yeah, I think that's probably the plan for now. So at least we've got some ideas of where we want to be looking for players. Let's look at strikers. I mean, do we even need to look at strikers? We're going to look at Jose Larsen-Garrett just to see what his stats actually are. I thought, to be fair, we'd get Bonanno and Troffin in this as well, just to see how they've compared in terms of actual... so we concede way more goals with both of these two in the team instantly, but they do win a few little interceptions in there as well. Bonanno's not made a tackle yet, amazingly. And Costa Troffin can pass a ball. I'll give him that. And in fairness, that is very, very high compared to the other two. The guy definitely likes to pass it around. Has Costa Troffin got decent passing? It's not awful. But his is about the same, and I assume Guerra's is about the same. But he does have better vision, which definitely helps with the old assist situation. Key passes, though, Guerra dominates. Nobody's that great in the air. I wonder why Bonanno's so bad. He's only 5'10", to be fair. Of course, Droffin's 5'11", 5'9". That makes about sense. I was thinking of Maluleke. He's got slightly better height on that side of things. Assist-wise, Bonanno's done okay. He's got one, which is a really good assist as well for Sean Lancaster, in fairness to him. But chance creation, Guerra's out of sight. We do score more goals with Bonanno in the team, I suppose, but he isn't the one scoring them. And they're certainly not hitting the target anywhere near as much. I think Bonanno's okay, but I don't know, maybe another striker in something. But we've got Maluleke. My concern is always, if we lose Guerra, what would we do? But if we did lose him, we would also have a lot of money to spend on a replacement. So I might, at that point, if we say we lost Jose Larsen-Garrett, then the first thing I would do would be go out and try and sign Rob Brain from West Ham United. That would be my first choice, because the guy's clearly got quality, and he's also been relegated. So that would be my biggest choice if we were somehow to lose Guerra. Hopefully that's not the case, and I get to speak to you at the end of the summer saying that, hey, he's signed a new contract and he's going to be here probably till the end of the save, which is ideal. But worst case scenario, I think we could probably pick up Rob Brain, because we've got a lot of money, and I think he might have a relegation release clause in there too, which would be very, very nice indeed. I'm hoping some of those guys I'm looking at do, essentially. So, left back, definitely. Central midfielders, youngsters, that's fine. Centre backs, again, unless it's someone amazing, probably just youngsters, perhaps. Right side, maybe. Left side again, maybe. Attacking mid, perhaps. Striker, it's the left back spot that I think really does need a fresh coat of paint, and that right side of midfield potentially. Though we do have some options there, I just want one of them to grab it. I think Lancaster tried, Nielsen's offered some stuff, but I do just still think that maybe Augustin De Los Santos is actually the long-term solution to that right wing role, and maybe with some pre-season friendly experience, we can see what he does playing in that position. I don't know, it's just a thought. So, that brings us to the end of the video. Word of the day is going to be giraffe, because I'm wearing a t-shirt with a giraffe on it. That's the first word that came to my head. So yeah, drop that in the comments. Use it in a sentence, of course. And I will join you guys tomorrow for the transfer window season 12, episode 1, transfer window goodness. We need to get going, because that next season's a key one for us. Because I think we might we could potentially lose players if we don't do well next year, I feel like. I don't know why I feel like that, but I just kind of do. I feel like the inertia's catching up with us a little bit. Keep everyone fit, have some more depth in certain positions, and we will be good to go. So, if you've enjoyed it, drop a like, that'd be awesome. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching. As always, hold your gun, capybara. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.